it's all okay. So, shall we start?
Yes, sir, you can start.
Sorry, sir, my internet connection is weak.
Yeah, no problem.
I am extremely sorry, sir.
No problem, ma'am. It's all okay. We'll get started with the session. Thank you for the lovely introduction.
I request to Mr. Tejas sir to deliver his precious lecture on this topic of artificial intelligence technology. Thank you and welcome, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. So, I believe, firstly, very good morning to everyone. We have been dealing with the use of, or using telecommunication at the very peak at this point for education than ever before in this entire global scenario, where everybody is doing not just training sessions, but also having schools, colleges all running online. So we are looking at that perspective as what is the step today and what is the state that we are going to be entering in the coming days and the days ahead of it also. So to start off, just an overview of the Indian education system, which we all are aware about, is you can see the purple side was the area that already had some or the other form of online education systems in place. So higher education, you could do, IIT training, JEE training, you could do online, you had online tests for CAT exams. Uh, Private tutoring and coaching was going parallelly with Byju's and Vedantu. You had test preparations all across the board. Then there's also reskilling and online certifications, which has picked up big time, including IIMs and IITs, stepping up online certification programs for programming as well as for soft skills as well. Then there's always corporate training, which was happening across the globe. So you had a trainer sitting in probably Japan or trainer sitting in US and imparting training sessions in India. And that gave rise to softwares and systems such as Udemy and Khan Academy and different kinds of ventures around this. Apart from that, there's a huge level which is still untouched, and we will be going into that as well, which is hobbies and language related, which includes cooking, playing music instruments. If I want to learn flute today, I'll need someone to train me that, and I can see it online, and there are sessions which are going around on these lines. So that's the level wherein the education system is currently going on. And education never stops. Education is always on till the end of the time. We keep on learning new things. And we always want to have that thirst of knowledge. And we're going to see and dwell into some of those aspects. I believe some of the participants have already attended my earlier lectures. They'll find some of those slides repeated, but it's part of the session that we will be doing today. So we'll come back to this Indian education system, but primarily looking at the education system before 2020 or even in 2020, we had a system like this where all the students had to face the teacher at one location and they're all sitting on benches, and and this has been around for the last 200 years. If we go back to the latest photos from 1900s, we'll find that the classroom setting is more or less the same based upon the industrialization of bells and classroom segregation of maths, science, different subjects, even though they may be interlinked. When it comes to geography and science, they could be linked as well. But we have participation, basically made them into parts and bits and pieces so that it's easier for investigation. But over a period of time, we find that the whole learning journey is becoming very much separated and dissociated from the whole scenario. But the classroom of the future is what every student today is living in, and even our web conference is a part of it. We're all doing it personalized. It's either on a laptop or either on a tablet or either on a mobile phone. We're doing it face to face. And the reason why it says classroom of the future is because this slide was made 6 years ago, and today we are living this life day in, day out. So where does AI fit into this classroom that we are already doing? For example, this training session that I'm doing online, it's just a way of extension of what the physical medium is. But at the user's end or as a trainer's end, I'm just sitting in front of the laptop and speaking alone. So where does AI come in? Is it tries to take in all the aspects of the real life situation and how we can do it virtually and do it much better. So there are three aspects when it comes to AI usage into education. The first one is problem-based learning. That is, what are the different problem areas that are not being filled in? Maybe through the online sessions that we are doing, what is the area that is missing out? The second one is simulation. So simulation is based upon VR and AR kind of session. So basically, if I want to show someone an historical place or a museum, I can do it through a virtual tour that they can actually feel as if they are going through it, or I can show a reenactment video of a particular battle that happened and the storytelling part of it. I can do it through different mediums today, which were not possible in the earlier black and board, with the help of chalk or just the blackboard. So now we have a lot of multimedia that can be used, which is audio, visual, as well as sound can be used. And the third part is what we are working upon is immersion. So immersion is actually taking in all the learnings that we have and giving a much more being a part of it kind of an experience. So we'll look at all these aspects as to how we can also make our presentations that we are doing online currently better, and also what is going to be the AI backed algorithms that are going to be used in future. So firstly, I would like to talk about the human behavior and what is happening with this. Is we all enjoy Facebook, IPL, WhatsApp, news debates that keep on going day in, day after, whether it be China or any other topic, Bollywood and all. It's the same people who are coming in again and probably the same thing being repeated. But what is it that's different about all this? So what is it that makes us open up these apps over and over again? Is this particular graph, which is the graph of how excitement works, or how a person is, being active, being present, and immersed with the knowledge session that is going around. So, just taking an example of this, one side you have pleasure, and the other side you have familiarity. So, let's take an example for Facebook. So, Facebook, if everything became too familiar, we would be at the origin of the graph, which is if everybody wrote the very same thing on Facebook, it would be boring. If you're there in a WhatsApp group and all everybody is doing inside it is saying good morning, and good night, then it would be boring. Like you would not want to be part of that group. And the other part is it can also be boring if it's too much unfamiliar. So which is basically Facebook was in a foreign language. You could not understand what is going on in the Facebook. So you would be again at the lowest end. So what do all these WhatsApp, IPL, which is basically 20 overs being played over and over again with the same players, maybe the same teams over and over again, but still it turns out to be different, is because it is always giving you a pleasurable experience and an addictive part, which is new information at the periphery of your knowledge. That's before the ball is being delivered, you know what is going to happen, but you still want to see, and something unexpected is going to always be the case in all the 6 deliveries that happen in an over. And that is the cusp which all these apps are working on, including TikTok as well. These are all AI backed. So once you watch a Facebook or once you're watching a video on YouTube, what the AI algorithm does, it starts recommending you videos which are based upon what you have seen. And then it keeps on giving you much and much better enjoyment about it. So why is this important? Because all students have natural thirst for knowledge. This is the first thing that we look at. And the reason why we do that is because why we find it enjoyable to work on a Facebook or WhatsApp and all is because it's an exploratory environment. And you find joy in self-exploration. And if you can open up a video on your own, you can close the video, you can go somewhere else. But the moment there's an ad which becomes restrictive, we find ourselves a little bit claustrophobic and we want to shut it down, or we want to skip the video. And this is the basis of the entire AI which we use in all these online systems, is that humans are hardwired to find learning as pleasure. From the day that we are born, we find, you know, everything around us, wherever there's movement, we get attracted to. If I tell you to look at a very blank wall or any board like that which is completely white, we'll find it to be boring. Then we want something excitement on. So to an extent that if there's no multimedia thing around, like there's no DVD, there's no uh, laptop or anything around, and there's just an empty wall, I'll start looking at an insect that could be probably crawling around. I'll start following, I'll start thinking what it's doing, where it's going, whether it meets another insect, how it reacts. So humans are hardwired to find learning pleasurable, and we find learning in everything that we see around or hear around. Maybe it's a small bird that's flitting around. We get excited by those things, and we don't know it. It's all happening subconscious. Now, why did I talk about all these things? Is because this is what is happening in a typical classroom session. You'll always have 63% of your students disengaged. And this is statistically proven. Like if you have a classroom of 90 students, you'll always find that 60 students or maybe 59 students of them would not come into the high ranking or would not even score about 80% of the mark. Why is this happening? Is because in classroom, the teacher has predefined set of knowledge, which are set at a pace. That this is the pace that the teacher is going to do. But you'll find some students that are very fast learners, and they get bored of it, sitting there waiting for the day to end. They're looking at the time that when it's going to be 3 o'clock, when it's going to be 1 o'clock, when it's going to be lunch break, and I can do something. Because these are the kind of students that can go home and have the freedom to explore. Like, for example, me, I always read at home, I watched documentaries, I learned through movies, I learned through, through different websites, and I kept on learning on my own, which wasn't happening in school. Like if you talk about robotics and artificial intelligence, not part of the curriculum when I was doing engineering. It was at a very higher level that you had to be there. But I started learning it at a very young age, and thanks to all the multimedia that were around at the time, like Wikipedia, and there was also a website on how stuff works, which enabled to learn the nitty-gritties of how
জল আছে
internet
ওখানে
works, how the works and all.
ঘুমা যাবে
Okay,
ঘুমাতে
and
ঘুমা যাবে
so what's the solution for this? What we can do is that
তো সর একটা সর দিকে পড়ে যাবে
AI,
সর
which always brings in
ধরো একটু উল্টে যাবে
the ability to get in the familiarity part of it, whether measuring the pleasure and the familiarity of every individual. Because everyone is different. Everyone is going at a different graph. Everybody has different knowledge. Everybody comes with a different background. What they have learned, what they have studied yesterday, and what they are learning today. So this is the basic of how AI is going to be enabling into the classrooms. So, for example, in this current
ভাতে
scenario, we have got 3 levels of AI-based interventions that we call it as. Because we don't want to stop the teacher and the student behavior that is going right now currently, online education or through the other mediums of classroom sessions. But how can we make this more exciting? The first part is the rote learning part. Rote learning is basically the repetitive part. Every student that comes from the first standard to the 10th standard needs to know the basics part, and that is throughout the entire group. Everybody is learning the number system, everybody is learning calculus, everybody is learning algebra, geometry, everybody is learning science basics. Everybody has to learn, irrespective of what. Yeah, anybody wants to ask something? Kachal, you want to ask something? Okay, fine. You can unmute yourself and ask, and if you don't want to ask questions, you can just mute yourself. Okay. So when it comes to rote learning, it's things like numbers and all these things. So how can we make this more pleasurable? How can we make this more exciting for the students? Is by so one of the things that we thought about is bringing in exams, which is happening in the current system. What we do is we give an exam at the point, and what is everybody doing right now for exams is they study at the end of the exams or when the exams are done. So let it be unit test, let it be a semester pattern, and all this. What is happening is cramming of knowledge is happening. Students study overnight, they give the exam, but what is not happening is a feedback system. Students don't get their papers back, or students, even if they do get their corrected papers back, don't look at it. So I don't know wherein I have not been able to score marks. And over a period of time, even the knowledge keeps on going away because over a period of time, that's how the education system is being built up. So here we want to change that. And how we do that is by spaced repetition. What do we mean by spaced repetition? Is happening, but at the start of a lecture, I have taught you something. At the end of the lecture, there is a revision part of it. Again, the next week, there would be again a revision part of it, which is basically, let's say, if I'm teaching someone the table for 5 or table for 10 or table for 8, I'll keep on repeating it every week over and over again till the time it comes into the head. And this is what we're doing when we're in kindergarten. When ये बच्चे बहुत छोटे होते हैं, we do that with all the kids. So, for example, if I ask you, do you remember all your nursery rhymes? We all do. We all remember Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, word to word, equal to the rhythm, because we did them repeatedly every day with the actions and all. But if I ask today, what was the law or what is there on page number 65 of a particular book, we don't get to recollect entirety of it, or we get to space out in terms of these. This is what is happening with students. This will be for 5 hours and all. Because they don't study every day, they study at the end of the exam and then they are not able to answer or recollect everything. So, how do we make this better? So, like I told you the example of nursery rhymes, we did nursery rhymes not just by sitting or writing them 10 times, we did nursery rhyme by looking at others, doing along with us, and also with actions. We did that with hand gestures, twinkle, twinkle, shining star, up above. So we used to point up. So all these actions and the words and the rhythm, everything got synced into our brain, and it's always going to stay there because all senses are involved. So that's one of the things that we need to do. We need to bring in as many sensors as much as possible. For example, if you're reading a book, you may not remember it entirely, but if you have seen a movie which involves sound, has a visual part of it, has an emotional quotient to it, so you're also feeling what is happening on the scene. You remember the entire movie much better as compared to reading a book. So, senses is more important. So one of the basic things that we do is avoid passive learning. So passive learning is what is encouraged in students. We used to do that in very the olden times. That this is basically what I was doing earlier. I used to take my book and all my books or textbooks used to be all underlined. Like this is reading, this is important, this is important, this is over a period of time I used to forget it. So that's when I started doing the flashcard and quizzes kind of thing. So what do we mean by flashcards and quizzes is you could have one side showing up just one word and the other side having the answered part of it. And you look at these flashcards over a period of time. So we did that using schools and basically college days I started doing small abbreviations of big words. We all do that. Like Build Your is one of the examples of how we can remember the colors of it. So that's
কি টাকটাই গাই
one example of
ট্রাক্টরের বড় চাকা কই
again or remembering kind of words and then so if teacher wants to teach a particular subject in her own way, she should be free to do that. That's one part of it. Second part is bringing in AI. We can also bring in handwriting recognition, voice recognition, quizzes, and gamification. What do we mean by voice recognition? For example, right now I'm delivering the session, but there is no feedback form. I don't know if I'm going too fast, I'm going too slow, if I'm reaching out to everybody, or if everybody is able to understand me or not. I don't have that feedback. But AI could do that and sitting at my computer and telling me whether I'm or not. So that's one part. This is what we all are doing. I believe professors might be using in their classroom sessions so far. Google Forms has been one of the widely used things that we are doing. Quiz and ask questions. That's just one part of it. I'll explain you what we're doing in level 2 and level 3 and beyond this. And the other part is exploring things at your own pace is more important.
বেড়ে
So
গেল
if a
ভালো
student
লাগছিল তো
can't understand
ক্যারি
the
প্রাইস
whole
ভালো
topic within the 1 hour session that has happened, he could be given a recorded session of the entire thing, which could be a transcript, may not be the entire video recording, but maybe in text, so he can
খাওয়া
read
দাওয়া
it
হচ্ছে
later and revision can be done at later time. Because the level 2 part is what we do is active learning. So active learning is wherein problem solving and creativity are involved. Wherein it could be something like if I give a topic to be written, like write something like an essay on something or write a poem on your own. So these are all creative based things. We don't have like the level 1 where we saw things were constant, like 5 into 2 is 10. So it's known, it's a constant. But here the user brings in creativity. And this is part of it. We all are very creative. If I take a classroom of 10 students and I tell them one problem, as long as they don't copy, everyone would come out with a different answer or their own creativity would be involved in it. So that's where active learning comes into picture. So here we bring in AI algorithms which are based maybe on microphones, which are based on cameras and things like that. So here's an example, like the example that I gave you about learning flute. So how I do that online today is by having a microphone acting as my input device. So everything that I'm playing on a flute becomes a sound wave, and then it tells me whether I've played the note properly or not, whether I played a particular physics part of it, and where I failed to do it properly. And it would then give me feedback that this is what you need to do. So that's the level 1 AI part of it. Then we look at the AI what we can do in classrooms once the classroom session begin, or even right now, is how we can make it more engaging is by answering 2 parts.
বাথরুমে আছে
What are we learning? So to make things much more better, which is what we're doing in classroom session, is we do it through class presentations, or we are doing it through a training part.
ভেঙে একবার শেষ
But
করে
to
দেবো
make it even much
তারপরে
better, we can give them assignments down there that you have to study this part on your own through maybe
যা আনছে সব ভেঙে দিচ্ছে
or through other channels, or maybe we have for the textbook and write their own version of it. And that would bring about personalized learning. So here we could bring in the Google Classroom with the help of quizzes on Google Forms. And the student can learn on his own and create his own quiz. Give them examples like that students create their own quiz and then quiz other students. So that's one way of doing it. And the second one is why it's important is then you bring in group projects, which are again personalized. So you have 3 students writing a project which can't be copied in the entire classroom. That so AI can work upon and give those kind of assignments on its own. So right now we are all the teachers are all engaged, and in this current pandemic situation, teaching is one of the most difficult professions that are there. Because for the last 6-7 months, everybody had to become, had to understand the technology part, had to get a new device, had to make sure how the camera is working, how to make it more understandable. So maybe bring a blackboard behind, or maybe have a screen projection behind. Everybody has to do that in this part, and it's been a challenge. Then we look at level 3 of AI, which is integrated AI. So here some processing would be required, and we could have these kind of 3 things, which could be simulated worlds. So for example, if I want to teach someone how basically work on a car engine, it could be done virtually using VR goggles and a simulated world. Or I want to teach someone how the stock market works, so I could create a simulated stock market, okay, and let students play around with everything. So I can make the economics concept better understood by them how it works. Then we can also have gesture-based recognition. So gesture-based is when there's any physical activity which is important, because that can also bring in some learning aspect to it. So we can do it through gesture-based recognitions. So that's the level 3 part of AI. Now coming back to the Indian education, now you can very quickly understand that right now whatever we are doing is just bringing the textbook part of it or the classroom way of teaching onto the digital world. But the digital world can have far much more better tools that we can use, which could be YouTube videos, which can be
any question rather than it is a query. Sir, you have mentioned three levels of AI. Level 1 is rote learning, level 2 what is and level 3 is recognition, but I can't understand the level 2 in
Okay.
short notes.
Okay. So level one is wherein we had strict constraints. So I know the output and the input. Level two is wherein I don't know what the output is. The output is coming through creativity. So, for example, if I go to a classroom of, let's say, junior KG students, and I give them a piece of paper and I tell them to make it fly. Okay. So, if those students have been taught to make aeroplanes, they'll all make aeroplanes. And they'll all be different types of aeroplanes. So, how do we judge them? That's part of one. And there would be one student, because I told them to fly. It's not necessary that they have to make an aeroplane. Some student would also crumple it in and would make it into a small ball which can be thrown and go the higher, the longest distance. So that's where creativity is coming, problem solving ability, which is not there in broad learning. Like 5 to 2 is always going to be 10. I can't bring more creativity into that. But yeah, when it comes to writing poems, writing essays, it's an open-ended. So wherever you have an open-ended kind of written kind of or even verbal kind of interaction, it could be done level two.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, it's a very enjoyable
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Uh, so so that's the part of the education system where we are currently sitting.
हाँ
That is
लिखता है
one part.
बिल्कुल हाँ
Then always somewhere down the line we have some or the other level of systems already in place. Now in the next session, I'll be taking you more in depth about what is the future ahead, what we have already created, which is sitting in the R&D section, and what is going to come out in this coming year or two into the education system and completely overhaul the way that we have been working. That's one of the reasons why we have changed in the way how the system was working earlier, that primary education, secondary education, and higher education has now been made into different age brackets, which are more in line with what is happening globally. So that our education system, once it's ready, we can also export it. Because today we don't have any boundaries. Everybody is sitting at their own place and can do it anywhere. So I could also be running a training session, which we are doing currently virtually across the country. And even students from across the country can join in. So there are a lot of advantages and disadvantages, which I'll be covering up as well. So one of the basic things that I also talked and discussed about was like virtual field trips.
Sir, one question. What kind of training is required for the teachers to adapt this AI technology?
Okay, so there are two levels of training that are required. So one is wherein you have a programming based kind of knowledge which is required. So wherein I'm coming from a technical background. So certain things come very naturally to me. For example, even in presentations, it's not natural that the exit button is not on top but it's at bottom, or things like that. But these are very natural to me, which are coming from a programming point of view. But that's the first level. So at this level, we don't introduce it for the masses, because when we are introducing for everybody, we want to make it as easy and simple to use for everybody. So that level is going to be the next part. So for academicians or teachers and trainers, we are the best learners. We all know that we are the best learners, and that's how we are adapting as we are going even through this. So when that time comes, from the researchers' point of view, who are doing research on the new solutions for education, we come up to one level, which is what I'll be discussing. For example, like this virtual field trip, I would have designed a VR headset. But if, as a teacher, we are not able to use it, then it fails it. So there would be some level of mediation wherein we'll try to simplify it. Maybe there's one button to go into the mode and one button to come out of it, because then I can see what students are doing, which could be there in case. So these are real life scenarios, and those things keep on gradually happening over a period of time. Currently, there are a lot of these courses which are available online. You can do it through Coursera, you can do it through Udemy. There are these short video lessons which will enable you to understand what AI is, how you can adapt yourself towards it. But I would tell you to refrain from it because it's still at a very that premature state. अभी तक it's not ready for the everybody to use it. So once we reach up to that stage, like how Google Meetings and all these things, everybody is using Google Classrooms. Everybody is okay with it. How to store in different folders and share across the entire classroom, create different classroom sessions wherein students are being taken in. So we have able to understand it, and there's also a learning curve which is happening at the other end. So at the technology part, we are also learning how human interactions happen. So don't worry. With time, we'll the very same way how we have forgotten that earlier we used to send messages only through letters. We used to write we used to send a telegram or either write a letter or a postcard. I don't even remember the last time that I saw a postcard. But WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, all they have replaced how we know and interact with our family members and friends. But it will happen. It will happen with time. We have all got our smartphones in hand. So most of the technology, the moment it comes into smartphone, we'll have that. Okay, so
Yeah. Sir, much आवाज sir, am I audible, sir? Sir,
Yeah,
am I
you're audible.
Sir, ये आपने the future of education के बारे में थ्री वो बताया सिमुलेशन एंड इमर्शन क्या व्हाट्स द रिलेशन बिटवीन सिमुलेशन एंड इमर्शन, क्या कुछ ऐसा है क्या?
हाँ जी, तो सिमुलेशन एंड इमर्शन के बीच में एक डिफरेंस होता है. सो सिमुलेशन इज कि अगर मैं यहाँ पे आपको या मेरे बैकग्राउंड में यू सी द लेट्स से सोलर सिस्टम दिख रहा है आपको पीछे. सो दैट्स अ वे ऑफ शोइंग यू that there's a solar system that I can talk about and all. But immersive is wherein you see solar system at your end. What I mean by that is right in front of you, you will see in the classroom, you would see in the 3D space that there is solar system, there is sun at the center, planets are revolving at their own speed, then each planet has got its own satellites and moons which are revolving around it. It opens up. It's an immersive kind of experience. So that is immersion. Simulation is कोई चीज जो actually या जैसे car driving, car racing games होते हैं. So these are all simulation. You're not actually driving a car. You're doing it on a computer or a mobile screen. Like that. So that's simulation. इधर घुस जाते हो. वो फर्क है. Okay. So virtual field trips are going to give you that simulation kind of an effect. Then second one is machine set question papers. This is one of the most difficult part of every teacher's life. Is most of the time is spent in setting up question papers. An average teacher for a 1 hour session or 1 hour exam session has to, if I put in even 35 objective questions to be there, we spend so much hours into finding what could be those other 4 options to be placed inside, or the other 3 wrong answers to be placed inside along with the right question or along with the right answer. So here AI could be coming in, and it can also set papers within 1 minute, which could be customized to each student's learning needs. So for example, if I have got 60 students, and I know that these 60 students, may say there are 20 students who are very bright, they would be given a difficult question paper. And the other students would be given a different type of question paper, which would be setting them at a lower stage. So not everybody is giving the very same question paper, but they are giving question papers according to their own ability. I'm not bringing all the fingers at the same level, but I'm treating all the different fingers and their talents at different levels and enhancing them. So that's the AI part which can come into it. And also it can give instantaneous results. So the moment I do the exam, I know immediately what my answers are, and then the teacher can also give individual feedback that you have to study this particular, or you're lacking in this particular chapter, इसके ऊपर ज़्यादा ध्यान दो, या ये वाला chapter आपको नहीं समझ में, I'll explain it to you again in a different format, because that is what is more important. Because this is what I always argue with my mother also. My mother is a teacher, she's just retiring this year. So she used to tell me कि ये लड़के ने देखो सिर्फ 10 मार्क लिए out of 100, इसको कुछ आया नहीं. So there I always used to point out that it's not the student's fault all the time, but if in a classroom of 100 you have 40 students who are not able to score well, that means your training is going somewhere else or your teaching is not proper. So that's the kind of feedback that we can also get straight away, that maybe this particular chapter, if all the students are not able to answer properly, maybe I need to teach it differently, maybe use a video to make it more better, make to reach out to them or make them understand a particular topic better. So these are the kind of things that can be done using machine set question papers and AI. Then mini video driven lessons. I believe we are all doing this in this, and I'll be also sharing you a video which would be exactly the summarization of all the things that I've taught so far or I'll be covering. And in those mini videos, in just 5 minute video, you can basically summarize the entire 1 hour or maybe 3 hours of the training session. Can also happen in, because visually we've seen something audible part of it, the sound also creates an impact and creates an immersive kind of a session. Then the other part is what we still need to learn. I don't know if everybody is doing it yet, but this is also possible using Google Calendars. So you can have a classroom calendar in which you can tell what session is going to be happening at which time and also record those sessions. So post a session has happened, you would have a recorded link to the video. So anybody who has missed a session or missed some part of it, because today we are living in a technology and or technology driven interconnection. So there are different factors in which the online session depends upon: the electricity factor, whether the light goes away, whether the net goes away, whether the net disconnects. There are a lot of issues that can happen even at the student's end or a trainer's end. So a recorded session always helps in achieving that gap if there is any. If I missed certain part of the section, I can go to the recorded video link and see it. So it could be a recorded video link or the transcript part of it. That is, आज क्या पढ़ाया हुआ उसके बारे में भी अगर कुछ जानकारी अगर कैलेंडर के ऊपर अवेलेबल हो, so it acts as another visual reminder कि ये वाले सेशन में मैंने क्या पढ़ाया था, किधर था. It acts as a helper too, and online class calendar can help towards that. And if there's an exam session which is going to be happening, let's say Saturday, then I can see it visually and I know what sessions have to be prepared for it, and it can also be color coded, so you can know which subjects are of which color. And then we bring in collaborative learning. So collaborative learning is by giving assignments to all students, because they right now all teachers are doing right now is only doing the classroom sessions on the the online medium, but we are all missing, or even students miss the meeting their own friends, meeting their own classmates. That's where the real collaborative learning was happening. मेरे को नहीं आ रहा, I could ask someone sitting right besides me, but on an online session I can't do that. So that is what is more important, that we bring in collaborative learning kind of sessions also as part of the online sessions. So I could give probably 15 minutes break, and in that 15 minutes break I'm allowing students to interact with themselves within the classroom
We have
environment.
in our one questions in our traditional.
So we are trying to just bring that traditional system online today, because it's very difficult. At least in Maharashtra, no schools are being allowed to open up till the end of September. So students are still sitting at home, not having
This pandemic we have to at least the best.
And the other part of this pandemic is that it's not going to get over even at September. It's going to keep on going. My estimate, the end of there could be mutations of the very same virus happening over a period of time again. So at this particular time, it is not sure as to how the education system is going to be. So we have to change overall, or maybe think about, we were thinking in a very localized manner, we need to think in a much more open why only classroom of 16? I could have a classroom of 600 also. So that's the level of opening up that we could have.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. This is happening also in the online FIP course. We are here 50 students enrolled, but in other institution there are 4,000 students at the same time. They are taking the opportunity of online classes, online
Right.
program.
Right. So it's becoming like the thirst for knowledge.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, are these all examples of implementation of artificial intelligence?
Yes.
Okay, okay, sir.
I'll be showing you some examples of that. So collaborative learning, and here we again bring in AI. So with AI, what happens is it's acting as a monitor. So whatever is happening inside those free sessions or those open-ended sessions, they could be a spam filter, they could be a monitor kind of a system which tells you what if anybody is writing or typing something which is bad or abusive. Because it's an environment wherein we are living, wherein students also share, they can unmute anytime and do a lot of mischief, which keeps on happening around. And we keep on hearing these things, which is very bad, but it could be stopped at an AI level using an AI monitor all the time, which could be basically muting everybody in a classroom session. I know if you have done an online session with training, you would understand that the student is sitting, he's unmuted it, and there's a fight happening between his mom and dad, and you can hear everything, and the whole class gets also disturbed. So there could be a session or an AI part which can intervene between this. Now coming to augmented reality. So this is where AI and the virtual simulation and immersive part comes into picture, is wherein I can hold the map in my own hand or see the map in more realistic way, or see objects and shapes which are isometric but can understand what is meant by isometric and how it can look at different areas. So I believe you must have seen that Google animal app was there, that if you type in lion in Google search, it will show you an example wherein you can have that 3D lion, and then you can click an AR button and you can switch it to a camera mode. So you would have a lion sitting in your own house and you can touch it and you can feel basically as if it's there inside the room, and along with the light settings and all. So,
Sir, sir,
yeah.
sir, sir, please once again repeat it, sir, please. Once again,
So,
steps.
the
Previous.
virtual
It is.
augmented.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir, yes.
Okay. So in augmented reality, what we mean by augmented reality is I have reality around me is what I can see with my own eyes. But using a mobile phone or a camera intervention, I could show something over here which is not there. So we call it as augmented reality. One of the best examples or uses of augmented reality is Google Maps. So in Google Maps, you have an augmented reality mode. So you can switch it on and it will show you what all areas you're looking at. So maybe I'm stuck at a corner. It will show me what building is where, or which road, what is the road's name, by just pointing the camera using Google Maps where I'm looking at. So AR is possible and brings that kind of immersion. Let me give you an example of this, which I have developed. And this we have developed for government schools of Maharashtra. And this is a practical example. So what we have got over here is a camera setup which is pointing on the table, and the teacher can put it inside and lock this camera setup inside. And all the teacher has to do is bring in the textbook. Remember, this is the part that I was talking about, when and how teachers will be able to use the AI part. So here the AI would recognize what image is being shown on the textbook, which could be, let's say, an animal cell from science. So I can show the animal cell in its true form. Like we all think an animal cell. I actually believe that it was a 2D, but this is the first time that students can actually see an immersive part and see inside the classroom the object coming out of the textbook. the moment you bring it back, you see it recognizes the image and shows you the cell and things like that. So I can put multimedia interactions inside the real object and making the reality an augmented one. When I remember that, yeah, I'd seen an animal cell in 3D, or I'd seen the video about the particular ward when I saw this image, that kind of thing. So that's where AR is coming into picture. And
Sir,
yeah,
sir, take it, sir.
yes,
Hello?
yeah, sir.
I'm audible?
You're
Sir,
audible.
augmented reality और virtual reality में exact difference क्या है?
हाँ, तो ऑगमेंटेड रियलिटी में आपका जो रियलिटी है, आपका जो घर है, आपका जो एनवायरनमेंट या मतलब जो भी आपके आजू बाजू में है, उसमें आपको वो चीजें दिखती है, वो एक्चुअली है. So for example, if you look at it from the mobile phone, I'll see the animals over here. But the animal cell is not, part is known as augmented reality. I'm changing the reality shape around. But virtual reality is wherein I'm wearing a headset and all I see is the virtual part of it. I don't see any interaction with the real world. उसका कुछ real life से कोई लेना देना नहीं है. आप एक बार virtual headset पहन के आप पीछे बैठ गए, all you see is what is there on the screen and nothing else. And you'll hear using the headphones only what is happening. So it could be a roller coaster ride and things like that. Okay, Sunil sir.
Okay, thank you.
So the next part is algorithms to replace mentors. This is possible today. So let's say student engagement and employability are different today. We require different skill sets. आज जो considering the pandemic has changed the whole job scenario, the types of jobs that are available are different that students want, and the recruiters are sitting somewhere else. But whereas we as academicians or we as teachers are held bound by this is the syllabus, this is what needs to be done. So right now, using online sessions and all, there is some freedom that could be there, and we can use algorithms. So based upon, remember I told you about having different test exams for every student. So maybe if one student is doing very well in data and data analytics, and we find that he could be approached towards the data science part, but that is not a skill set there in the curriculum until he joins into engineering or post-graduation also. So what we do is, it could be a third-year engineering student who wants to do data science. So that particular student we can identify using these algorithms and give them a connect with mentors. So it could be through LinkedIn, we can get them connected. So on LinkedIn, I have a lot of students who connect to me, which could be on science, which could be on robotics, which they don't find the lectures in their syllabus, but they want knowledge. And that is what could be done through algorithms using the data which is there sitting online. Then the other part is a live feedback, comments, and personal posts. And like this interaction which we are doing, there's also a live question and answer sessions which we are doing, and it becomes more immersive. There are certain topics that you want to ask but are a little bit shy to ask, and someone else asks that question. So it solves the whole the query or doubt in the mind of the student also when someone is asking questions. So these things are possible in different ways. You can write comments in the chat box so that you're not disturbing the class session. The teacher can answer it later after the session is over, those questions. Or you could also do live comments also, which are possible. And here again, AI would be using as a monitor part of it, whereas some comments which are having bad words, things like that could be more blurred out or could be reported off. In a classroom of 4,000 students, if everybody is asking questions, it's very difficult to answer them all. Maybe the AI would combine those questions and say that this is the particular word which has come up the maximum, and then that could be answered. Then offering open-ended assignments. This is one of the things we need to do today, because the moment we give them assignments, through the class is the same, they'll all come up with the same answers back. So we need to think about giving them open-ended assignments, which could be everybody's best friend is different. So that is the kind of assignments that we need to define. So AI can help us into assessing these kind of open-ended questions and answers as well, and assignments. And this is one of the things which is being worked at and is already in place in certain institutes, but it's not present in IIT JEE exams, which is currently the outrage which is happening around. But we have a technology that can capture the movements of the candidate. So the camera is acting and it's looking at the student. Where is he looking? Where is he not? Or basically his gestures, whether he's touching the mouse or not, whether he's opened up a new URL when he's doing an online exams. And immediately it gets red flag and the student's examination is stopped. So you have systems like this which are in place. And what this means is that the student don't need to physically assemble in an exam hall, which is what everybody is worried about today in this pandemic situation. So that could be completely avoided, and students can do it from anywhere, even from their home. They can take this exam. This reduces the logistical burden, which is one of the biggest problems. Like it's not like taking an exam today is not just a health risk for the students, but also for the teachers, the peon, the exam, the correction part of it, the exam cell. Everybody is going to be touching those papers, and so it's always a very difficult decision to take when it comes to physical exams. So this is one of the things which is being worked out, and it's there in the R&D sessions. We have these things built in, but we just need to see how we can come out with the practical solution part of it. Because not everybody has the same mobile phone, not everybody has the same physical laptop today. So there is still some need of those physical hardware parts. Once we have them all, we would get them. Then the most time-consuming part, which is there part of every session of a teacher, is taking attendance, and that could go away. It could be biometrics. You could have students do a fingerprint registration, or even have AI which is sitting and capturing the face and telling how many students were actually paying attention to your lecture, how many were there part of the session, for how many seconds they were, like if anybody disconnected, went out, went in, all those things can be measured in by using AI sitting at the camera end. So what are the different challenges part of it? And challenges for me is that is all in our mindset, how we think about approaching AI in education system, or even technology, adopting technology towards education. So this is basically an quote from one of the principals who was there in a school in 1850, and the problem was all the students were using chalk on slate, and they were breaking their chalks very often because the chalks had to be provided by the school in those days. So they were consuming the chalks very fast. So the teacher had said, or the principal pointed out that what will they do when they run out of paper? Because in 1815, paper manufacture and industrialization was not yet at the fringe. Paper was a very rare commodity, but paper all around us. If we get paper for less than ₹1 also. So technology and time changes over a period of time, and even there's one more proverb that goes along with this, which was said by the oil minister of Saudi. He said, "We didn't come out of Stone Age because we ran out of stones." So the very same thing is going to happen. The learning part is always going to continue. The only thing is we are going to adapt, and something else will replace the technology going forward and keeps on changing. Is audio from the video? Can you hear the audio part from the video?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, you play it. birth of display was the beginning of a new world. In the world that was revealed by the display, we saw a brighter future. We have turned imagination into reality. We have finally opened up a new realm of innovation for OLED after overcoming numerous challenges through our passion. We will make this new world with values that rise above the technology we have known so far. Display, which broke away from the limits of form, more freely overcame the hindrances of expression to expand the value of beauty into a realm of creation close to an art. While substituting for familiar functions and emotions, we are continuing to imagine through infinity. A window of communication which allows mutual understanding beyond the visible world. It always leads us to selecting the best by swiftly reacting, even at unexpected moments. The unlimited evolution of technology turns all imagination to a display into reality. Our old dreams of getting desired information have just all been realized by wearable devices. More satisfactory routines are made to be enjoyed by always providing optimum conditions. Furthermore, our desired values are provided anywhere and anytime through thinner and lighter forms. Interface without gap between humans and technology. As OLED technology enters into our environment and forms, our work in life will be made anew even further. And at the end of all the changes, our dreams will be realized. Although the display is evolving ceaselessly, our never-changing values will continue to be projected toward human beings. A sheet of display will wrap around even our hearts and contain values of communication and healing to get us closer to fulfilling our dreams. An amazing and precious experience where desires are unfolded and all emotions in that space are conveyed through the five senses. While we nourish the happiness of the next generation in this way, we will advance to this new world. The future, dreamed of by everyone. The technology that's making that future a reality.
Yeah. So we just, like I told you, in 5 minutes I'll summarize what all things are there happening in AI AI and how it will be used. Remember, AI will never
Hello,
be.
sir.
Yeah,
Hello, sir. Maybe in future,
yeah.
maybe in future, which is you show it, sir.
Yeah, so it's what we are headed towards. For example, it's not just future, we already have it. If 30 years ago, if I would have told you that everybody would be holding a glass slab in their hand and talking through a glass, looking at a glass, and using that as their computing and their interactive device for the world, we would have told that, yeah, this is the future. But it's their reality today for us. We have Google now, we have Alexa, which can recognize our voice and can answer back to us. So we are headed towards that future. It's not that it's a very distinct future, but we have foldable displays, we have wraparound things, and we are living in a virtual training session like what we are doing right now. Like six
Yes, sir. Thank you.
would have it inside an environment at HRDC Sagar, but today we are doing it. So yes, it's
Hello, sir.
yeah,
Yeah, actually, I saw a couple of years ago. I saw one TED Talk video by Pranab Misty
yeah,
about the sixes. So it's remind me like that. Yeah.
yeah. So we are so unless someone is not thinking towards it, we don't know where we'll end up. But these are the technologies which are already there in the R&D center. Everything that you saw in the video, this video itself is 5 years old. Okay, this video that I just showed you is not a latest video. It's 2014, 15 video by LG, which was there. And I've seen this technology outside. I've been across to Korea. I've been to China as well. So a lot of things have happened around in terms of technology, which is there in present. And if you must have seen just 2 days back, there was an presentation by Elon Musk on Neuralink. So I worked on Neuralink in 2008, part of a project by the BARC, which is there in Bombay, Baba Atomic Research Center. So there we had done it. So there is Neuralink, which is basically a device which gets connected at the back of your head, and you are controlling maybe gestures and on your computer using your brain impulses. It's a project which is coming. So we are just looking at what is going to be happening next, because we are creating students, or we are teaching students for the future. So the better aware we are about the future, the better we can interact with the students and make them more enlightened towards what their goal is. Like, so what are the benefits of this AI and this new world that we are living in today of online education? Is that education can happen anytime. You can look at the recorded video maybe at the late night or maybe early in the morning, whatever time suits you, you can do that. It brings educational platform and adapts according to the student. So if the student likes the tablet, the student likes the mobile phone, student likes the TV, so he can also do it on the TV. The training session could be anywhere. And today, almost everybody is learning even yoga lessons on using YouTube videos and all those things. So everything is happening around. And then virtual mentors. So virtual mentors are what help students to get connected to
बोलना
the experts in the industries and then learn. Like if someone wants to become like me, for example, I have students who ask me on LinkedIn, how can we become or reach where you are? So I can guide them up and tell them what mistakes I made, and they should be aware about and should not make those mistakes in their life. The other benefits, which are for the schools and teachers, is personalization. Today we know about what each student is doing. Using Google Forms, I can actually recognize what student is lacking or which part of the subject a particular student is lacking, and then take decisions based upon those subjects and all. And it involves a deep involvement into the education process. Everybody is deeply involved, including the parents too. Then the other part is through online exams, like I told you, you can detect the weaknesses and correct them, or probably understand why they are being weak in this particular subject. And we can also create curriculum, right, accordingly, like automatically. For example, if a student is doing very much better in a particular subject, I could give him some extra curriculum part, which could be out of the syllabus as part of his learning process, so that he's still engaged and learns much better and enjoys the learning part at the point. And also the chance to find the best teacher. Online sessions have enabled us to switch from one classroom to another. We can do whatever we want, and we can choose the best teachers which could be there online. So schools and teachers have this best ability to do that. Now, what are the other educational platforms which are based on AI and how they are intervening? Now, these are all at research stages and could be implemented in this coming 1 year. First one is a third space learning. This is by the scholars at London University. And what it does is it recommends the ways to improve teaching techniques. So what it does is it sits inside the screen and it will be at the corner looking at me, also recording what I'm saying, and then it will tell me whether I'm being too fast, whether I was too much shaky, or whether the video quality is going bad, whether the internet connection is gone, whether students are dropping out of a training session. It will show me some notifications based upon how the training session is doing. So they do that. Then the second one is known as Little Dragon. This is a startup which uses the camera to look at the eyes, the facial expressions, and understand the emotions. If anybody is going to sleep or becoming too boring, it would tell the students what is happening based upon that. And this is currently being, so they develop educational, but they have now started getting into these interfaces kind of systems, and they're coming out with it. Then the third one is CTI. So CTI's primary goal is creating smarter content. So what it does is, right now one of the difficult part is, let's say if I want to make a PPT also on a particular topic of a classroom session, it would be very difficult and cumbersome to sit and write everything over a period of time. So what it does is it analyzes the textbook and all the learning materials that are available on let's say YouTube or whatever source I give it, and then it will take out, pull it, and make the presentation automatically for me. So I have a presentation template ready, which I can then edit and then add in certain things on my own. So this is one online tool which is there, which they do it. Then the other one is known as Brainly. So Brainly is basically a social network for students. So what it allows the students to do is, for example, if I want to learn robotics today, I would join this community and join the robotics forum part of it, and where learners can connect with their homework, get knowledge, share. Students can ask questions between each other or share their knowledge that this is a solution that I found to this problem. And then ML is the short form that we use for machine learning. So machine learning assists in selecting and spamming inappropriate content. So anything that is offensive, which is being said bad words, and those things are all being selected out verbally as well as in text format and blurred out. And those particular students are then being given warning and then blacklisted also. So there are different processes which are happening, and these things will be again adopted once they are full-fledged, right? Then again, another one is Carnegie Learning. So they have customized education materials. So what they do is they look at the keystrokes that students are doing and the mouse pattern that the students are doing during the classroom session. So they can analyze how the classroom session is going around using the AI part of it. And the third one is TinkerMap. So TinkerMap is helping kids learn maths using various games and reward systems so that they can create better engagement. So these things will slowly get adopted into the school part, school curriculum and everything once it becomes a complete program. Then some of the examples which I can give you for AI solutions which one can use is you have voice, which is there. So for presentations, you have something known as Presentation Translator. This is freely available in PowerPoint. You can go into the plugin sessions and look at it, or if anybody wants to know further about it, can get in touch with me. So this, what it does, it real time gives you subtitles below your presentations. So this is one of the problems and challenges that I found. I found many of the professors inviting me to their sessions, which were there in their regional languages, and I found it very difficult to understand what was happening in those sessions or question answers that were going around, I wasn't able to understand because I wasn't able to read or understand the language. But with subtitles, there could be translation possible, and then I could see it in English what they are speaking about, and then understand the training session. So the language barrier could be removed out. Unfortunately, currently the languages which are there also in Google text to speech and all are limited to only primary languages which are there, and the accent part or the dialect changes from place to place. Like in every city to city, or every 500 or 2-3 kilometers, every village, the way the word is spoken changes. So that part is not ready yet. In India, we don't speak one single language unified, but that process is going on. Google is learning it day by day. And just to give you an example, all your mobile phones have got multiple uh, microphones, either one or two microphone, and they have cameras also. And even if the mobile phone is off, unless and until it's not switched off, the microphone is always listening. Remember this. You must have found out this instances also, that you are speaking with your friends or in family members, and you find the very same thing coming out as an ad to you, either on Amazon or on Google, or when you're looking at a YouTube video, you'll find that particular topic ad, or YouTube recommending you that particular video. These things happen. So there is an AI handling part of it, but as long as it's not harming us, it's still useful for us, because that's how we are consuming content today. And this is one of the last parting things that I would like to tell, is that we don't know what the future holds as teachers of today, but what we can do is unlock the hidden potential in every child to live to a full, rich, and valued environment, and valued life, which is more important. Because what all things I have done and what I have learned today, I am what I am because of my teachers, and I owe it all to them. But they didn't teach me this in real life, but they prepared me for what the reality would be going ahead. And that's the only thing that we can do as teachers, and adapt. And with that, thank you. And I'll be ending the presentation sessions, but open for any question or answers if anybody has any. And this is my contact details. You can search for H Stages on Google, or even search Stages Hoskati. You will come to know all about me and what all things I do.